Hi, and welcome to session 4. So we are moving into our percentages. This is actually going to be quite a big session. You may end up doing it across sort of 2 visits. Don't feel that that you have to do it from start to finish. You do it to the time scale that suits you. Okay, so if you're starting to feel kind of full up with information, then you should take a break. We've got our recap. As you can see, it's starting to get a little bigger now. I'd like you to have a go at that and then press play when you are ready to see the answers. Okay, so there's the answers. Hit pause, mark, and then play when you're ready. So we are looking at percentages. We are looking at percentages at a slightly higher level. So we actually did percentages in the basics and how to use a multiplier and all those things in the grade 3 course. However, you may not have done that course. So I'm going to do a quick recap. We're not going to spend ages with any kind of practice on it, but I want to make sure that you are comfortable with what you're going to see, because obviously we're building on what we saw in that grade 3. So percentage increase and decrease. You can find the percentage and then add it on, or you can find the percentage and then you can take it off, but it's quite limiting to take that approach. So what we've learned to do is use a multiplier. And once we've got this formula that goes with the multiplier really secure, we can extend it into the higher level percentages, which is what we're going to do today. So the formula, the percentage formula, there's 2 main formulas that we're going to see today. The first one is called original times multiplier equals result. And you can see I wouldn't write it out in full, bit lazy, okay? Original times multiplier equals result. And percentages are generally on the calculator paper, certainly the more complicated ones that we're going to be looking at. So our main job is the multiplier. If I don't know how to write a multiplier, then I'm not going to be able to just pick my calculator up and get the answer very easily. So the multiplier is where our work comes in, okay? So when it's very straightforward, easy to read a question like this, increase 78 by 6%. When I read that question, I have an increase and I have a percentage. And a 2-tick question means I use this formula. So when I'm reading a question, that's what I'm really looking for. I'm going to say, oh, I can see that's a percent question. Right, let me read the story that goes with it. They're talking about something reducing or getting smaller. So that's a decrease. And if that is in the context of the story, then it gets the tick and you end up with that 2-tick question. Once you've identified it's a 2-tick question, you then need to be able to write the multiplier so that you can use the formula. Now, an increase multiplier is 100%. So that's the original amount in my story. So for this one, 78, 100% plus, because I want to increase 6%. If I do that piece of maths, I've got 106%. But I don't work in percentages. I can work in fractions, I can work in decimals, but I can't work in percentages. So actually what I need to do is convert that into the decimal version. I could use the fraction version, but again, the decimal will be easier to work with as we get into more complex problems. So it's best to just learn how to do it. Percent, that bit there, means out of 100. So 106% means 106 out of 100. And then obviously this divided by 100 would give me 106 divided by 100 in 2 places, and I've got 1.06. So that's how I get to my decimal answer. I'm hopefully not needing to do as much work as that. That is the maths that's kind of going on. But really what I would be doing is I would write my 100, write my 6, get my 106, and then I would go straight to 1.06. I know to just come in 2 places. Okay. If it's a decrease question, so decrease, I still start with 100%. I've still got a starting point of 112 in the question. I just don't want that much by the time I get to the end of the question, because I want to make sure I take 5% off. So it stands to reason that it's going to be a take, and this time it would be 5%. 100% take 5% is 95%. And then if I think about the decimal, I just got to come in 2 places, and my decimal is going to be 0.95. And let's push up a little bit. That it gives me the multiplier, and I have to do that work. I can't rely on a calculator doing it for me. So it's really, really important that I kind of know what I'm doing there. Okay, so the last thing then is to put that into the formula. So what we have done so far, and what we do for every percentage question, is we read the question. If we can identify an increase or a decrease, and we have a percentage given to us, it's a 2-tick question. Once I've identified it's a 2-tick question, I write the formula original times multiplier equals result. Once I have done that, I start to go back to my question so that I can make my multiplier. Now I can use the formula. So for the increase question, I have 78 for my original. The multiplier was 1.06. And I literally put that in my calculator, and I get the answer 82.68. So a calculator is going to do the work. Even if it wasn't a non-calculator paper, that would be easy to do. We've got our long multiplication methods. We'll just use that, and we will still get the answer fairly easily. The decrease question would be the original 112 times by 0.95. And again, the work goes in to the multiplier and the calculator. If I type it in properly, 0.95 gives me my answer. Now, all of that was learned and practiced, like I say, in the grade 3 course. So that is just a recap to support why we'll be doing what we're doing moving forward. So you're going to see that formula. You're going to read lots of questions to help you identify those 2 ticks, but we're going to be getting stuck straight in with confidence on finding a multiplier. We need to have that secure. So that is assumed for this grade. All right, so let's just start looking. And I think the easiest way to do this is really to throw ourselves into it. Let's read the questions. Let's identify the ticks. Let's set up the multiplier. Let's just do it bit by bit by bit. Okay. I have done a mix of questions. So I'm not kind of taking like this, the slowly approach. I'm going in quite hardcore. It's like, is this 2-tick? Is it not 2-tick? What do we do if it's not 2-tick? And it's going to be a lot of that happening. Okay. It could be that you want to do the session twice over if you feel it's gone at quite a pace for you and you just want to reabsorb it. But it should be fine. All right. I wouldn't be doing it this way if I didn't think it was going to be okay to do. I'm just pre-warning you so you know what to expect. All right. So let's have a read of this question. Jane earns £32,000 a year in her job as a manager. She has just been offered a pay rise of 3%. How much does she now earn? So I've got the percentage and there's a pay rise. There's an increase. So I've got the increase. So this is a 2-tick question, which means it has to be original times multiplier equals result. That is my first process to solving this problem. I now need the multiplier. It's an increase, so it's 100% plus the 3%. 100%, I don't know why I was going to write that out a second time. That's really not necessary. Let's just actually write it. 103%. And that's going to give me 1.03, just coming in those two places. The original, she was earning 32,000. I'm going to times that to 1.03. So we have got 32,960. That is her new salary. Okay, how much does she now earn? We've answered the question. Now that is a grade 3 question. That's the type of thing that we were doing in the course. So now we need to see how this is going to develop. How is it changing so that it becomes something of a higher level? Okay, so this is an example of that. Lisa buys a skirt in the January sales where everything has been reduced by 20%. Right there, I don't even need to keep reading. Right there, I've got reduced and I've got 20%. I know this is a 2-tick question. I know this is going to be original times multiplier equals result. If I keep reading, she paid £46.40. What was the original cost of the skirt? So she buys a skirt in the sales, everything's reduced by 20%, and she paid £46.40. What was the original cost? So actually, what I don't know is that bit there. I do know it was reduced by 20%. So I do know that the multiplier is 100% minus 20. That is going to equal 80%, which is 0.8. So I have got this value I don't know. When it got times by 0.8, it became £46.40. So I've got everything in the right position. Now, if I want to know what something equals, I need to get it on its own. So this times by 0.8 has to go. So we're going to hop it to the other side, and it lands as its opposite side, remember. So it's going to land as 0.8. And that is what we're going to put into our calculator, 46.4 divided by 0.8. And we get a figure of 58. So our original is equal to £58. So they call it reverse percentages sometimes because you're kind of going backwards. It feels like you need to add 20% back onto the £46.40. Yeah. So let's just look at that a sec, because we need to understand why we can't do that. Okay. If I take the £46.40 and I increase it by 20%, I'm going to times it by 1.2 or 1.20. Yeah. 100% plus 20% is 1.2. When I do that in my calculator, I get £55.68, and it's a completely different value. And that's because you're adding 20% to a smaller number. And then when you're taking 20% off a bigger number, 20% is going to be a bigger number to take off. It just doesn't work. So you can't try and do the opposite. You have to act through the formula and let the formula do the work for you. Okay. All right. So that is the end of that page. Here we go. Here's our next question. So really what I need you to do now is to have a go, not worry too much about what's happening. You'll read the question. If you can see it's 2 ticks, then you're going to have a go at the question. If you think it isn't a 2 tick, that means you're kind of stuck. And then you might as well hit that play, see what I'm about to say. And then if it's me revealing, oh, it is a 2 tick question, you can maybe pause quickly and go, right, I can finish it off now, or you can let it play through. But pause and have a go first, okay? Okay, so ticket prices have increased by 12%. It's absolutely a 2 tick question. So I've got my original times multiplier equals result. If you're not writing this out every single time, you are not likely to easily recall it. So don't feel like, oh, I've got that now, I don't need to write it. I'm not writing it every time for you. I'm writing it every time because it's how we want our brain to remember this, so that when we see it pop up on the exam, we just flow into this routine. Okay, my multiplier is 100% plus 12%, which is 112%. So that's going to be 1.12. Ticket prices have increased to 38. So 38 is not the original. And it's really, you've got to be really careful. You read that question very carefully, because the value that they give you is either going here or it's going here, and you need to try and identify which position to put that in. So I don't know the original, but when it got times by 1.12, it gave a result of £38.08. I want to know what the original is, so we're going to pick this up, get rid of it off of that side so that the original is on its own. It will land as 1.12. I'm going to put that into my calculator, and I've got 34. So the original price of the ticket was £34. It is now £38.08. So it went up by £4.08. All right, here we go. I want you to, let's not go too far. There you go. I want you to hit pause and just have a go at that question, and then press play when you're ready. Okay, so this is a reduced question, 15%. I've got my 2-tick question. So it's original times multiplier equals results. My multiplier is 100%. It's a decrease, so take off the 15%, and I've got 85%, which is 0.85. I don't know the original. I know whatever it was multiplied by 0.85 to give me £350. So get the original on its own. So move it to the other side, and now the original, whoops, that didn't come out very well, is 350 divided by 0.85. Okay, that is coming out with 411.7647. But nowhere does it tell me about how to round the question. But I know money is always rounded to 2 decimal place, which is why they don't need to mention it. So I wouldn't leave my answer like that. I would say that my answer is 411.76. The 4 isn't going to round. And then that's the answer to that one. All right, so here's your next question. Pause and hit play when you're ready. Okay, so Bobby buys socks for his market stall at 80p each, and he sells them for £1.80. What is his profit as a percentage? Right, well, the story is talking about an increase. So there's definitely an increase. So I can put a tick in for that. But there isn't a percentage. The word percentage is there, but that's just how they want me to give my answer. It isn't an actual percentage, which means this is not a 2-tick question. So if you've got stuck and you're pressing play to try and work out what on earth you do here, you are stuck because I haven't even told you what we do here. So a 2-tick question gives you original times multiplier equals result. We've seen that a lot, so we know that. A 1-tick question gives you a different formula, completely different formula altogether. So this is a 1-tick question. There is some sort of increase or decrease happening in these types of questions, but there is no percentage, okay? When we've got that, the formula is the difference over the original. Now, if I was to put numbers here and here instead of the words, I'd create a fraction. and they don't want my answer as a fraction. They want my answer as a percentage. To change a fraction into a percentage, we times by 100. There we go. Times by 100. And that is the formula for a one-tick question. So it's another piece of knowledge that we have to get here. All right. So when we're reading our stories, we can be thinking, okay, that's a one tick, it's this, or that's a two tick, it's this. Okay. So the difference. So if we read in the story, Bobby buys socks for his market stall for 80p each, and then he sells them for £1.80. The difference between those two is £1. So the first step is to do your £1.80, take away 80 or 0.8, and that gives you £1 or just one. We're in the middle of our working out. We don't need the signs. I'm just making it clear what we're doing. So the difference is going at the top. The original goes on the bottom, okay? So he originally bought the socks for 80p. Now I need to be really careful here. I have just put a 1 there, which means that's pounds. I can't put 80 there because that's pence. And I can't work in different units. I can never work in different units. It doesn't matter whether it's meters and centimeters, pounds or pence, they have to be the same. So I've got to make a decision. I've either got to put 100 up here or 0.8 here. It genuinely doesn't matter what you choose to do. I'm just going to go with the pound and 0.8, and then I'm going to times that through by 100. So that is giving me 125. The answer, his profit, is 125%. Okay, so I'm giving you a mix of questions at the end of this session when we finished all of these, where they are the kind of original grade 3 style question. They're the question that makes you kind of go back and find the original. And they're these questions where we're finding profit and loss, basically. Nearly every question based around this formula is some sort of profit or gain and some sort of loss. All right, let's move on to our next question. There you go. Have a read through, hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so Katie has a waist size of 30 inches. At 9 months pregnant, her waist was 68 inches. How much had her waist expanded during her pregnancy? Give your answer as a percentage. Okay, so the waistline is increasing. So there's definitely an increase happening, but there is no percentage. So we've got ourselves a one-tick question. So we should be writing straight away difference over original, and then we need to times that through by 100. So we are going to say 68 take away 30 is 38. And then the difference, 38, is going over the original 30. And that's going to get multiplied through by 100. So 38 divided by 30 times through by 100. And you've got 126 point, and on it goes. So we haven't been given an idea of how to round. So we will do a sensible degree of accuracy, okay? So 1 decimal place, because all of our workings was in whole numbers, just to go 1 decimal place would be sensible. So 126.7%. And all of the questions that I've written in the end section are like that. I haven't added in exactly how to give your answer. So if you get a long thing on the display, think, right, is this money? Should I do this to 1 decimal place, and go for it from there? Okay. So if you got that one right, really, really well done. We have another question here. I think this is the last one, and then I'm going to leave you to it so you can get on and practice. So I want you to hit pause and press play when you think you've got an answer for that one. Okay, so Paul buys a laptop for £632 in the Black Friday sale where he saved himself 25%. How much did he save? Okay, so we're talking about a sale, so there's definitely a decrease that must have happened. I've got the percentage as well. So it's a 2-tick question. So we're into original times multiplier equaling the results. So I don't know the original. He buys a laptop in the sale and he saved 25%. So my multiplier is a decrease of 25%. There was an original amount. When it got multiplied by that decrease, it gave £632. So 100% take 25% is 75%. So it's 0.75. So my original, I don't know, times by 0.75, and it's going to equal £632. So to find that original price, I need to divide through. So 632 divided by 0.75 is 842 and I've got this 6666 going on again. So we're going to round that because it's money to 67. That's the original price. If I stop there, I'm going to lose marks in my GCSE because I haven't actually answered the question yet. The question says, how much did he save? So I'm now going to take that answer, take the £632 off it, and I've got my final answer of £210.67. That is how much he saved. Worthwhile waiting for the Black Friday sale. Okay, so these are your questions. All right. I've also put those in as a printable resource. So if you wanted to print them out, you're obviously more than welcome. The answers are going to come up as well. I'm going to have the page full and then just scroll slowly up so that it's big enough and clear enough if I feel that I need to do that. Anyway, well done for today. That is a lot of work on percentages. Now, you'll get to practice it here. You will see it in all the recaps and consolidation by the end of the course. Even if you're a little bit, that is a lot. Because of the amount of practice that we're still going to give to this, you'll be absolutely fine by the end of the course, I'm sure. All right, so well done for today, and I will see you next session.